For every hated superhero actor, there's one that fans support and love. When Marvel announced Captain Marvel, the hype was huge. This was the studio's first female-led film, and they set her up as the new face of the franchise heading into Avengers Endgame. On paper, everything pointed to success, but the reaction wasn't what Marvel expected. From the first trailers, some fans felt Larson's delivery seemed stiff, almost detached compared to the charisma people were used to from characters like Tony Stark or Thor. Once the movie hit theaters, those same criticisms stuck. Many called her performance wooden. Brie Larson made comments during press tours about diversity in Hollywood that drew polarized reactions online. For some, she became a symbol of progress. For others, she came across as dismissive, and the negativity snowballed fast. Even with Marvel giving her a central role in Endgame, she's never been able to win over a majority of fans. Instead of being remembered as Marvel's next leader, she's remembered as one of its most divisive figures. But if Brie Larson's casting showed how quickly fans can turn Robert Downey Jr., his story shows the exact opposite. When Marvel Studios cast Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, it wasn't just a gamble. At that point in his career, Downey was best known not for box office hits, but for his personal struggles and run-ins with the law. Executives pushed for safer choices, but Jon Favreau fought for him, saying Downey's real-life story mirrored Tony Stark too perfectly to ignore. From the opening minutes of Iron Man in 2008, that decision proved right. Downey's performance was effortless. Sharp humor, quick arrogance, but always carrying vulnerability. He made Tony Stark flawed but likable. Suddenly, a character that had never been a household name was leading the charge for an entirely new cinematic universe.
This is exactly who I should be up here with. The man who literally started it all, who had the faith in me and this connection we had.
Over the next decade, Downey became the anchor of Marvel. His chemistry with other heroes, his mentorship of Peter Parker, and his complex dynamic with Steve Rogers made his story feel like the spine of the MCU. And then came Endgame. After 11 years, Downey delivered a finale that hit harder than almost any other superhero moment. His final line, his sacrifice, and the way the film framed his death wasn't just a character exit. It was the emotional payoff of a cultural phenomenon. Entire theaters went silent, then erupted.
And I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. redefined what superhero casting could be. But while Downey became the face of Marvel's success, another casting choice ended up remembered for all the wrong reasons: Topher Grace. By the time Spider-Man 3 went into production, fans were begging to see Venom on the big screen. But from the moment Topher Grace was announced, the casting didn't sit right. Grace was best known for his role on That 70s Show, a sarcastic, skinny kid-next-door type. Venom in the comics was built like a tank. The disconnect was obvious, and when the film finally released in 2007, the doubts were confirmed. Grace's version of Eddie Brock felt shallow. Instead of being a terrifying threat, he came across as an annoyance. Grace wasn't the only problem. The studio pressured Sam Raimi to include Venom against his wishes. But in the end, his performance became the face of the film's biggest flaw. Venom, the character fans had waited years for, ended up wasted potential.
Never wound what you can't kill.
Eddie, the suit! You gotta take it off!
Fans had to wait until Tom Hardy's reboot to finally see it done right. And while Topher Grace's Venom showed how the wrong casting choice can sink a character, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine proved the opposite. Hugh Jackman was first cast as Wolverine in 2000's X-Men. Not everyone was convinced. Fans of the comics pointed out he was too tall and an unknown actor stepping into one of Marvel's most iconic roles. But the moment he appeared on screen, doubts faded. Jackman brought raw intensity to the role, mixing animalistic rage with just enough vulnerability. Over time, he became the face of the entire X-Men franchise. He played Wolverine for 17 years, the longest run any actor has had as a superhero. That came to an end in Logan, 2017. Stripped of spectacle, it was a brutal, emotional story that gave Wolverine the ending he deserved. Jackman's performance was praised as great acting, period. By the time he hung up the claws, Hugh Jackman wasn't just the guy who played Wolverine, he was Wolverine.
Take your friends and run. They'll keep coming. Yes. You don't have to fight anymore.
But not every casting choice leaves behind that kind of legacy. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor turned into one of the most debated missteps in superhero movie history. Zack Snyder announced Eisenberg, and the reaction was immediate confusion. Lex was supposed to be calm and commanding. Eisenberg was known for twitchy, awkward characters. And when the film came out in 2016, those doubts turned into backlash. Instead of the calculating businessman fans expected, Eisenberg played Lex like an eccentric tech billionaire. His performance felt scattered, cartoonish, and it clashed with Snyder's darker tone.
Martha dies, and if you fly away, Martha also dies. But if you kill the bat, Martha lives.
Even critics who defended parts of the film agreed his performance didn't work. For many, his portrayal stands as one of the weakest versions of Lex Luthor ever put on screen. If Eisenberg showed how a performance can pull audiences out, Christian Bale proved the opposite. By the early 2000s, Batman on screen was in rough shape. When Christopher Nolan stepped in, everything depended on getting Batman right. His choice was Christian Bale. From the start, Bale brought a level of intensity that audiences hadn't seen. He made the duality believable. Billionaire playboy by day, obsessive vigilante by night. The turning point was The Dark Knight. While Heath Ledger's Joker stole the spotlight, Bale's Batman gave the film its backbone. His moral struggles and his willingness to become the outcast grounded the story.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
But if Bale showed how the right actor can elevate a franchise, Gal Gadot is remembered for the opposite. Gal Gadot was first cast as Wonder Woman. Her debut in Batman vs. Superman surprised many. Then came Wonder Woman in 2017, and for a moment, it looked like she'd silence the doubters. But over time, criticism of her acting grew louder. By the time Wonder Woman 1984 hit theaters, the backlash had taken over. Memes about her acting spread across social media, and what had been an early success turned into an easy target. Today, Gadot's Wonder Woman feels more remembered for the controversy around her acting than the cultural moment she created back in 2017. That sharp contrast becomes even clearer when you look at Tobey Maguire. When Sam Raimi cast Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, it wasn't the obvious choice. But in the 2002 film, Maguire captured the awkwardness, the vulnerability, and the weight of trying to balance a normal life with extraordinary responsibility. Over the course of Raimi's trilogy, his portrayal became iconic. His emotional sincerity, especially in key moments like the death of Uncle Ben or the train sequence in Spider-Man 2, cemented him as more than just another superhero actor.
I have a father. His name was Ben Parker.
Even when Spider-Man 3 stumbled, Maguire remained central to the character's charm, and years later, when he returned in Spider-Man No Way Home, the response proved just how deeply fans still cared. For many, Tobey Maguire isn't just one of several Spider-Men, he is Spider-Man. Ezra Miller was announced as Barry Allen in the DCEU. Their quirky energy seemed like it could bring something new to the character. But from the first appearances in Justice League, the performance divided fans. Some enjoyed the humor, while others found it forced.
Just gotta go faster than the speed of light, far beyond the speed of light. You gotta break the rule, Barry, and you've gotta do it now.
And then came the off-screen controversies. Miller was arrested multiple times, accused of violent outbursts, and became the subject of troubling headlines. By the time the solo film finally released in 2023, audiences were already soured.
Actor Ezra Miller has pleaded guilty after being accused of breaking into a Vermont home and stealing alcohol last year. The Justice League star agreed to a $500 fine and probation conditions that'll include mental health treatment.
The film itself didn't help. Despite years of buildup, the performance was still divisive, and the movie underperformed badly at the box office. While Ezra's Flash left the DCU in turmoil, Ryan Reynolds showed the exact opposite. few superhero roles have ever fit an actor as perfectly as Deadpool fits Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds first played Wade Wilson in Wolverine, but that version was a disaster. Instead of walking away, he spent years fighting to get a real Deadpool movie made. Studios rejected it over and over, but when test footage leaked online in 2014, the fan response was overwhelming.
I'm touching myself tonight.
When Deadpool released in 2016, it was everything fans had wanted. Reynolds delivered non-stop sarcasm, meta-humor, and surprisingly heartfelt moments. The movie became one of the highest-grossing R-rated films ever, and Reynolds was suddenly seen as the definitive Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds didn't just play Deadpool, he saved him. But while Reynolds proved persistence could turn a doomed character into a phenomenon, Jared Leto showed how hype and expectations can backfire. When Warner Brothers cast Jared Leto as the next Joker for Suicide Squad in 2016, expectations couldn't have been higher. Reports of his extreme method acting flooded the press, and when the movie finally came out, the performance didn't live up to the hype. Leto's Joker was flashy but hollow. Compared to Ledger's grounded menace or Phoenix's unsettling descent, Leto's version felt artificial. Fans and critics panned it almost immediately.
Would you live for me?
Yes.
Careful.
Even years later, his short return in Zack Snyder's Justice League didn't change opinions. For most fans, his Joker is remembered not as a bold new take, but as one of the franchise's biggest missteps. That contrast becomes even sharper when you look at Tom Holland. By the time Marvel introduced Tom Holland in Captain America, Civil War, fans had already seen two different versions of Spider-Man. Casting a third was a huge risk, but Holland's debut immediately changed the conversation. He captured something essential: his youth. Holland felt like a real high school kid suddenly being handed superpowers. His mix of awkward humor, nervous energy, and wide-eyed wonder made him instantly relatable.
What? What are you doing? Hey, I'm Peter.
Tony.
What are you doing here?
It's about time we met. You been getting my emails, right?
Yeah.
Right?
As his films continued, Holland proved he could balance light-hearted charm with real emotional weight. In Infinity War and Endgame, he carried some of the franchise's most heartbreaking moments. The peak came in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Facing villains from across past franchises, Holland delivered a performance that finally pushed Peter Parker into adulthood. The loss, the sacrifice, and the maturity he showed earned him respect even from fans who swore by Tobey or Garfield. By the end of the film, there was no question Holland had become Spider-Man in his own right. Today, he's widely seen as one of Marvel's strongest casting choices. And that's the fascinating thing about superhero movies. One casting choice can make a hero unforgettable, while another can make them a punchline. From Robert Downey Jr. redefining Iron Man to Jared Leto's Joker dividing fans, these stories prove that the actor behind the mask matters just as much as the mask itself. Now I want to hear from you. Who do you think is the most perfect superhero casting of all time, and who was the biggest miscast? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind your favorite heroes and villains. Because in the world of superheroes, sometimes the real drama isn't on screen, it's behind it.